I'm making a sweater from scratch and I'm timing it to see how long it actually takes, and I can tell already that I have grossly underestimated this project, based solely on how long it actually took me to get the gauge swatch right. The pattern I'm using is the Jazzy Granny sweater by Kelly Phelps, and you can find that one on the Hobbii website. Future print here. Hobbii's in hot water right now, and I'm honestly hoping they'll figure out where they've gone wrong and reset. That being said, I'd already started this project when their CEO, or whoever he is, started being an AI simp, and I'm not going back now. I'm too far in. If you want to support actual artists who aren't using AI to create their product or their pictures, check out Kelly Phelps on Ravelry. I've had a look through her patterns and they all look super cute. The yarn I'm using is a mix of acrylic yarns. I went and bought Red Heart for a majority of the sweater, and the other colors were just leftover balls that I had in my stash. I had no sooner chosen acrylic yarn than I got warnings from everybody about not using acrylic yarn to make a sweater because I'll be sweating to death. I'm really hoping that the holes in the granny pattern let air through and that it won't be a super sweaty yarn, but here are the reasons that I chose acrylic to start with. Number one, it's cheap. Number two, it's machine washable and dryable, which is important to me because I got a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to be hand washing all my sweaters. And I definitely don't have anywhere to lay a sweater flat to dry in this tiny condo. Number three, wool makes me super itchy and I didn't want to invest in cotton yarn. I am definitely interested in trying out cotton yarn for a sweater, but I wasn't ready to invest in that when I had so much unused yarn laying around my house already. Number four, I knew I would probably be doing a lot of frogging since this is my first sweater, and acrylic yarn frogs and recrochets without any incident. It's not going to snag up, it's not going to create little burrs. It's gonna be the easiest for me to work with. I think I should take a minute and clarify that I am not a noob at crocheting. I would consider myself an advanced crocheter. I've made just about everything you can think of. I've just never actually made a sweater. I do have a guess on how long I think this project will take me based on other granny square projects I've done, and I think it'll probably take me about 20 hours. If you have a guess, throw it in the comments now and let's see if either of us are right by the time we get to the end of this video. Yesterday I made multiple gauge swatches to get the right size hook and started in on my sweater, and I realized after doing the first 5 rows this sweater was gonna be way too big. I measured it just to make sure, but I was correct and I was way off gauge when I was knitting the actual sweater. And as I was frogging it, I got to thinking, why does this always happen to me? I am a faithful gauge swatch maker, and yet every single time I am led astray. And I think I finally realized what's going on here. I think that when I'm making my gauge swatch inadvertently, I'm not like loosened up yet. So I'm making that swatch and I'm just knitting or crocheting really tight, which I have a tendency to do anyhow. But then when I get to working on the project, I find my flow and my tension loosens up a little bit, and I end up going back to the hook or needle size recommended in the pattern, which really gets me wondering, why am I knitting the gauge swatch? Maybe what I should start doing is just using the hook or needle size recommended and diving right into the project and seeing if the first couple of rows end up the size they're supposed to be. Are you a faithful gauge swatch knitter, or do you just skip it and start right in with the recommended hook size? If I can figure it out, I'll put a poll on this video and maybe you guys can let me know. So I think what I'm gonna do is just start the project with the hook size recommended in the pattern, which is a J hook, and I'm gonna work on this somewhere else because I really need a change of scenery. So right over there is the planetarium, and usually I would walk behind the planetarium and I like to crochet and knit or read or work on my projects or whatever over there because it's much less people-y, it's quieter, it faces out into the lake, which is really nice. You get a really nice wide view, but I can't find anything over there today, and that doesn't surprise me because it's so nice outside. So instead of doing that, I am going to walk that direction and hope I can find something in the park. So I did manage to find a place to crochet in the park yesterday, but I forgot to film any of it because the day was so lovely. I just got consumed with looking at the trees and the flowers and the birds and forgot to set up my equipment. But at this point, I have more than the back done. It's not great, not in the way you would think. I finished the entire back plus some because I was not paying attention to what I was doing. All of this is extra. So I'm gonna have to frog that back and then just add a few more rows of this black, and then the back will be completely finished. So this is gonna take me 10 times longer than it should to finish this sweater because I'm not doing a very good job of paying attention. I have another concern about this. As I talked about before, I sized down on my hook from what I meant gauge with on the swatch because in practicality, when I was working on the sweater, it was coming out much looser than I was getting with the gauge swatch. So I switched to the recommended hook size, and then I did the first 5 rows of the back and I measured that. And it was supposed to be around 22 inches, and it was. Unfortunately, at this point, I just measured the back again because I was thinking, my gosh, this is looking so wide, and it's 24 inches. So the question becomes, is my tension just continually loosening as I work on this, or is it something about the weight of the yarn that's kind of making it stretch and spread out? I've decided that I'm gonna go ahead and continue on making this sweater in the size I've chosen because I would rather have a sweater that's too big and is comfy than one that is too tight and small. Ultimately, if it's too big to wear, I will just gift it to someone, and then I will try to make this pattern again because so far I'm really liking how customizable this sweater would be. Part of the journey of making a sweater is potentially making the sweater pattern repeatedly. What I've gleaned from other YouTubers is that that's how they're getting these great sweaters that fit great, so I think that's just part of the process and I'm gonna have to accept it. It might not fit first try right off the hook, which honestly makes a lot of sense because everybody knits and crochets just a little bit differently. So for now, I'm sallying forth with what I have. I'm gonna frog this part and finish up the back today. The back's all finished, and I'm really glad that I decided to continue on with the hook that's listed in the pattern. When I hold this up to the shoulder seam, which is where this back piece is gonna connect, this hits about at the top of my hip bone. And when I fold this over, measure it a bit like this, I can feel that once I get the ribbing on, that's gonna have a couple inches of ease around my hips, which is exactly what I want. Now I just have to do that all again on the front, except for add little straps to the top. This one more time, here we go. So here's the front. I just got out of the bathtub where I do my best YouTube watching, and I watched so many crochet and knit videos while I was in there that I was super inspired to get some footage of the finished front. I had quite the hard time figuring out the second side of the neckline. It's just another little rectangle of granny stitch, but for some reason my brain could not do it with the written instructions. I must have frogged that side like 10 times, and then eventually I just visually looked at what I did on the first side and I mirrored that on the second side. I am sure that's a me problem. Got it finished. I'm very proud of myself. I will pin the front to the back and we'll try it on and just see how it's doing. Okay, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the vision. I do hope that the drape changes a little bit with blocking it. And I think that once I get the sleeves on, it's kind of calmed down a little bit, it will be a little less boxy than it looks when I'm wearing it as a poncho. While I have you guys here, I realized that I am a pathological liar. I've been saying this is the first crochet sweater I have ever made, and that is a big fat lie. But I didn't realize it until the other day when I was scrolling through Ravelry and I was looking for something else, and I scrolled past a picture in my feed and went, I have made a crocheted sweater before. It was the Summer Breeze Cardi Crochet Today. And so I guess thank you Ravelry for saving all these projects I've made over the decades that I've been a crocheter. And there were a couple things that I realized I didn't prefer about the fit and reasons that I ended up gifting that sweater to someone else. Number one, the color. I am not a pastel girly. Also, the join for the sleeve was kind of crazy. I think that's because it was made in like a yoke. I don't know anything about yokes. I don't know anything about making sweaters. This is only my second crocheted sweater. The yoke goes like this, and then eventually you split off to make the sleeves. And for me, I feel like that started way too far down on the sweater in that pattern, so I couldn't like move my arms. Coming clean. This is not, as I have been saying, my very first crocheted sweater. This is my second crocheted sweater I've ever made, and I'm hoping that it fits better and goes with my wardrobe better than the first. All right, here's where I'm at with the sweater. I really like the way this came together. Seaming it together wasn't too hard. I think the neckline's gonna be perfect. I do, however, have some concerns about these sleeves. I should have 10 more rows of granny stitch pattern to go. I have measured 10 rows of this and it's about 6 inches. And I can tell you, I do not have 6 more inches of arm plus cuff space. I'm wondering if I should go rogue and just adjust the sleeve now, or if I should finish the sleeve as written. I'm a little leery of just going rogue and making adjustments when the rest of the sweater seems to be working out just fine, even though I had concerns about the size of that. So I'm unsure what I'm gonna do, but for now, I'm gonna take myself to a coffee shop to work where the lighting is a little better. I must hate myself because I'm always picking black yarn, and God knows that's hard enough to see as it is. But then I'm in a dark condo that was built in the 80s and has 0% overhead lighting, and we do have a lot of lamps. You can have as many lamps as you want. When you're working with black yarn, there's just nothing that works as good as natural lighting. I was headed out to the coffee shop. This thing decided to come with me. I also already made a decision on the sleeve length. I looked at where her sleeves were hitting, and her color block ends at about around the elbow, so I took mine back to that point. Hopefully I don't regret this. Pretty happy with the decision I made to take off the extra rows. It's feeling a little bit short now, but with 5 rows of ribbing in the cuff, and when I block it and it has a little bit more drape, I think it's going to be just about perfect. So we're going to go ahead and do the other sleeve just like this one and add the ribbing. It's a rainy, gloomy day here in Chicago, which is honestly my favorite kind of weather. And I am so close to having my sweater done. I think I have half a sleeve left, the collar ribbing and the waist ribbing, and then I'll be done besides blocking it and weaving in the ends, which I know is a whole other beast in and of itself. But I think I can get this sweater done today, and I'm just gonna hunker down in my nice cozy room with my cat and my heating pad because I'm a little old lady, and probably binge some documentaries or British crime procedurals. So we'll see how the rest of this day goes, and I'll check in at the end of it and let you know how much I got done. I officially have both sleeves done. Go me. I'm really proud of the way this is turning out. I'm liking the fit so far. I did the cuffs with a smaller size crochet hook than what's recommended in the pattern just because I wanted them to be a little more snug. And for me, I think that was the right choice. The last 2 things that I have to do are the neckline and the waistband. I've already gone through and woven in all of my ends. Because this is acrylic, I chose to knot them where it wasn't visible instead of just weaving them back and forth. Acrylic doesn't really bind like wool does, so I've never had weaving my ends in and out work successfully, especially with a crochet project. In addition to the waistband and the neckline, I still have to launder this and block it, and it's a really good thing I'm going to be doing that because I'm pretty sure at this point this thing is 90% made of cat hair. I think my next project will definitely be gray. Cat hair will blend in a lot better, and I'll also be able to see it in this dim environment. Look, listen, I don't want to hear anything about the hair. I know that you guys aren't sitting around your house crocheting the end of your project looking like a supermodel either, so we're in the same spot here, right? I'm fixing the hair today. I am going to do my version of blocking on this, and it's the same version I have used to block every single thing I've ever made in acrylic, and that is to say I am going to wash it on lava setting with a ton of fabric softener and then dry it on Inferno to try this on first and see if it really looks that much more different or if it just feels different to the touch, because it definitely makes the fiber softer. Ta-da! Here's the finished sweater. I am thrilled with how this turned out. Washing it definitely did change the drape, as testified to by the sleeve. I don't know if you can tell. I'll do a before and after side by side on the screen, but there is a lot more droop and drape in this sleeve. I really love it. I think I could have even gone a couple of rows shorter. Maybe I'll do that on the next one that I do. I love how the waistband fits. I love the color scheme. It's got a really like 90s grunge kind of vibe. And I know because I lived through it the first time. I'm gonna take the sweater off because it is sweltering in here, and we're gonna talk about this more. I am shocked that my guess was as close as it was, and I was really thinking it was gonna come in way higher than that because I did so much frogging. How long did this take? Total number of hours was 22 hours and 6 minutes. I would have saved an additional 3 hours and 20 minutes if I would not have frogged so many different parts of this project. Now that I kind of have a baseline for how this fits, I think I can get one of these sweaters done in under 20 hours. If it matters to you, my hips are about 40 inches, my bust is about 36. Make your choices on size based on that information if you find it helpful. I already have plans to make another one with the modifications that I made on this sweater. I want to make that one in a holiday color scheme. I love Valentine's Day, so I want to do a red and pink version. On the neckline, my last round was a front post, back post, half double crochet. The neckline wasn't quite as long as I wanted it, and also I wanted it to pull in a little bit tighter. So using that half double crochet for the last round really helped with that. I took 4 rounds off of the sleeve. I think on the next one, instead of going to 25 rows before I start my color block, I think I might go to 23. So the pattern calls for you to reduce a little bit around the waistband before you start the ribbing, and I did that. I did not like the way that looked. It looked very bubbly around the bottom and I was not vibing with it. So I ended up taking that off and just using the same amount of stitches that I have around. I did no reducing and I just made my ribbing straight off of that. And that really worked out for me. I love the fit of this thing. Like I said, my initial choice was to use a smaller size crochet hook for the cuff so that the ribbing would be more snug. And when I got to trying it on a few times, I actually really started to regret that. It was very triggering for me to have those so snug. So I went back and cut those cuffs off and redid the cuffs in the recommended hook size, and that was the right decision for me, definitely. What would I recommend other people change on this pattern? Well, I don't know if I would recommend anything because I feel like a sweater is a personalized fit, but I think that the way the sleeves are written ends up making them very, very long. At least it did for me. So keep an eye on that if you're going to make it. As we talked about previously, the swatches were a little rough for me. I don't know why I can't make a swatch that is a useful item to make. Everybody else seems to make a gauge swatch and it's a helpful device for them. It is not working out that way for me. And last but not least, just because I think it's fun, what would I have charged for this sweater if I was still crocheting as a professional crochet artist and selling my pieces to other people? I know price is a bit of a hot topic, but here's how I used to price. I would take the yarn cost, plus shipping, plus taxes, plus fees, and then I would charge $10 an hour for my actual labor. That was back when I was living in Kansas City, and the minimum wage there was $7.25 an hour, I think. Now I live in Chicago, where the minimum wage is 17 something an hour. I decided in this instance to just split the difference and go with a $12 an hour maker rate. All right, so at $12 an hour, that comes out to $264.32, plus $20 for the yarn, $15-ish for shipping, and I went ahead and charged a platform fee of 10%. Not that I ever think I paid a platform fee that low ever in all my years of selling, but I haven't sold in a number of years and I don't really know what the going rate is for that now, so I went ahead and just put 10%, which would bring the grand total of this sweater without tax to $324.82. I'm no Balenciaga, and I can't imagine a single person paying that kind of money for an acrylic sweater, but because I made it for myself, it only cost me $20. I highly recommend that you learn to crochet. I really appreciate you guys joining me for this journey. I had such a fun time making this sweater, and I feel like timing it really added to the challenge aspect of it, which made me complete this project much faster than I normally would have. If you're not done watching stuff on YouTube, YouTube thinks you'll really like that video over there. And if you want to be notified of when I put out other videos of new projects, don't forget to click subscribe over there. Okay, thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.